Then we go to item number 7, Roman numeral 7. Public hearing to determine the fitness of a building. Block 116.02, Lot 4, at 21 Orlando Drive. Counselor?
Thank you, Mayor. This habitability complaint was authorized pursuant to Resolution 2016-1-43 of the Borough Council. We have Lou Guerra, the construction code official here tonight. We also have Mr. San George, who is the attorney for the property owner, Raritan Borough Associates, and I believe one of the principals as well is here tonight. So tonight Lou is prepared to give testimony. I know Mr. San George and his clients are prepared to answer any questions that the Borough Council may have regarding the current state of the property and what can or will be done to fix what is wrong with the building. So Lou, you can raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony about to give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and give your report regarding...
Excuse me, gentlemen, one up front, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay? Good.
The building on 21 Orlando Drive was, it had been out of business for many, many years. It was basically closed up, not occupied. May 5th, I think it was, 2015, there was a fire in the building. In the course of trying to put out that fire, it went for over 24 hours. Fire department had to order some demolition to be done so they could extinguish the fire. So they broke through the front portions of the building, exposing the building. So now the building is open and it remains that way. They put a fence around it that's not completely around the building. In fact, there's an opening on the one side. The gate is open on the one side. They have an incident report from just this past Friday. So the building is still not secure. The fence needs to be secured, right away. But with the condition of the building, with what they had to do for the demolition, partial demolition, to extinguish the fire, to me, the building is uninhabitable and, it should come down as soon as possible.
Anything else? No? Council, any questions?
Yeah, when did you make your last inspection?
Today.
Pardon me?
Today.
Okay. Did you prepare a report?
I just prepared for. I mean, I have photographs of the building. I have photographs from right after the fire, and I have photographs from today. It's virtually in the same condition it was the day after the fire. A small amount of cleanup was done, but there's still debris piles. The building's still wide open. Other than it does have a fence around it, but again, the fence needs to be closed at the very least.
Sorry. So, as a consequence, notwithstanding some cleanup was done, the fact of the matter is the basic part of your testimony is that in accordance with that section of the code, it's uninhabitable. Thank you. Okay, so I just have one other thought.
Sure.
Do you need those pictures? Okay.
No, you're not?
I have them on file if we do. I have, a set from when, shortly after the fire, I have a set of photos, and I have a set of photos from today.
Mr. San George?
I'd like to swear in Mr. Ford, he's the attorney for the LLC. He knows the town, he's been involved in all the proceedings. Just again to give background in terms of this council has discretion in setting orders, and setting deadlines, setting times, and at the end, public safety is paramount. I just want Mr. Hurd to lay the foundation and explain what's going on with his premises and explain what we can also do, especially insofar as the fence is concerned. Thank you so much.
Mr. Hurd, you want to raise your right hand? You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Good. Mr. San George, it's all yours. Now you can ask questions, or Mr. Hurd is going to free to speak? You're free to speak, sir.
He knows all the history of the
Okay.
property.
So I'm glad to be back in Raritan. Every time I come here, Mr. Garrett gives me a welcome. I was here on September 1, 2015, when I brought in the application to get site plan approval for this project. Mr. Garrett said to me, I'm glad you're here, we've been waiting for you. And in fact, my client has been working on this project since 2008 when we bought this building. and we've been talking to the town about it for quite some time. It's not something that has been done in the last minute. If I can refer to my notes, in 2009, the town rezoned the property with the Orlando Drive Vision Plan, which limited the ability to develop the property to a motel of not more than 40 rooms and without any banquet facilities. And we looked at that and we hired a consultant to try to tell us if that was feasible, and we were told it was financially unfeasible. So we began a dialogue with the town through the auspices of your land use council and your former mayor. We met with the town, we met with the borough engineer, we met with the borough planner, and we discussed what would be an appropriate use of the property and how we could develop it. And that took several years. I think in 2012 we started those discussions. In 2014, in August, the first conceptual plan was submitted to the town planner and to the mayor. And we went through several iterations of that. My client had hired a professional engineer, my client was on Casey and Keller. And it all culminated in an application for site plan approval that went before the planning board. In this room, I believe our first hearing was in November 2015. We had a second hearing in December 2015. And the resolution approving site plan approval was adopted on January 28, 2016. And the appeal period runs from the publication of the notice of the resolution. And I believe the appeal period basically was up at the beginning of this month. So until, as your borough engineer knows and Mr. Guerin knows, we received preliminary approval. When you apply for site plan, usually you get preliminary and final approval. The reason we did not get final approval is that there are other permits, other approvals we need to get, and the planning board decided that we should get those approvals and then come back for final approval. And one of those approvals is a setback from the Raritan River, which can only be granted by the New Jersey DEP. Of course, you don't apply for that until you know you have a preliminary site plan and maybe some of your other approvals, county approval and other approvals in line. And that setback approval is based upon having a building within the setback. My client actually contemplated demolishing the building. He hired a asbestos engineering firm. They went in, they did a survey, they removed all the asbestos in the building, because that's the first step you need to take when you're going to demolish a building, because that was his plan. But we met with Mike Lanzafama of Casey and Keller, and Mike, who is in charge of getting that DEP permit, which the basis of which is that you have a building in that setback, and you can build on that same location. Mike said, don't demolish the building yet. Let's get that permit first, because I could see someone saying, well, the building's gone, you're no longer in the setback, you're not entitled to the permit. So based on his advice, we held up demolishing the building. Because clearly he took the first step to do that, which was removing the asbestos. So we're hopeful of getting the permit in the next few months. The timing of the DEP is somewhat uncertain. There's some other approvals that we have to get. This is a project when built that's going to be in the range of $7 or $8 million. It's not something that's undertaken overnight. One doesn't usually demolish until you're ready to build. You want to coordinate it so it makes sense that everything is done most efficiently. And I think when the project is built, it's going to be a real benefit to the town. That part of the project, as the borough engineer will be able to tell you about, is a walkway along the Raritan River, which we have agreed to basically make available for public use. And also, it's going to be the first project along the Raritan River in the borough of Raritan. So all of a sudden, that vision plan for the borough is going to come to life. And we'd like to participate in it. And we'd like to do it in a timing that makes sense for us. We would be pleased to secure the fence. We sort of make sure that any openings in the fence are closed, the fence is locked. And we just don't want to demolish the building and lose our important legal rights to that DEP permit. And we would appreciate if you would work with us. The town has worked with us before. They helped us work in a mutual way to put together a project that would work for the town, that would work for the owner. And we're looking forward to being able to do that in a timely manner. I guess we admit it's not habitable, but we don't think it's it impairs the life and safety of the citizens. I know Mr. Garrett mentioned he had one incident, but it's probably the only incident in the past year that's occurred. Once we secure it, we think that it will be not a detriment, to keep it the way it is for a couple of months until we're ready to move forward with the project.
Have you applied for the setback approval?
I think we haven't, we're waiting for the appeal period to expire and for the county approval to come through.
What is the county approval you're waiting for?
We need county approval for the site plan,
Okay.
because it's a combination of two lots. In fact, it's a reverse subdivision.
Gotcha.
That's the technical
Yeah.
explanation why the county has the right to approve this plan.
Okay, and once you receive your setback permit approval from the DEP, is there anything that would prevent you from then demolishing?
Other than the efficiency of being able to demolish it and start the construction at the
Other than
same
that.
time,
Right.
and to coordinate that along with most likely a lender, these things don't happen overnight.
Well, I think that's the concern of the mayor and council, is that they don't happen overnight, and if the only thing that's preventing you from fixing an eyesore and a safety issue, which you admit, it qualifies as uninhabitable, is an efficiency from your standpoint of mobilization of forces. I think the council's concern is that 4 years from now, the project doesn't happen overnight and the building is still there. And so we're trying to, I think, frame timelines here that you can give assurances to the borough that what is their eyesore and hazard is not going to be there a year from now. And in the meantime, whenever that approval comes in for the setbacks, prior to that happening, you're going to want to probably apply for that permit immediately once you get your county approval. And then you're going to take whatever, I'm not telling what the council can do, but these are some things that they can do. And they're probably going to be looking from you to represent and to do is, okay, we'll shore up what needs to be shored up. We'll redo the fencing. We'll do whatever it needs to be. But what they don't want is a representation that eventually it'll come down. I think it's just I'm just trying to let you know where I think these people.
Well, I think a realistic timeline is 6 to 9 months, really. That's realistic. And there's been a lot of effort in this since 2008.
Mhm.
We've worked cooperatively with the town, and we don't need 4 years, but we do need 6 to 9 months to realistically to do this. And we will secure the fence, and we will, whatever Mr. Garrow would recommend, we will.
Is there a guarantee you're gonna get the permit from the county?
You mean the approval from the county? Yeah, I think there's we basically have to agree with what they want, and it's probably reasonable. If it's not, the engineer who's dealing with them will tell them that. I'm more concerned about the DEP. They're a little more mysterious and more foggy bottom than anything else, but again, Mr. Lanzafama tells us that we're entitled to it and we will get it, but we have that building in that setback when we apply.
As part of the greenway that's gonna run through that entire area, how much space are you actually giving the greenway between the building and whatever perimeters you have for people outside your apartment to use?
I don't really remember how.
8 feet, 8 feet, they want it?
8
Well, I
feet?
think the greenway is 8 feet. Where it sits with relationship to the ridge, the bank of the river, we did not bring the plans with us today.
Okay.
I remember 8 feet.
Was 8
This is
feet?
where standing. I'm gonna swear the borough engineer in, Dennis, and some things you can all understand. You want to raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do, sir. I wish Mike was here so we could have some conversation. Mike Lansafam is the engineer that represents the applicant. I haven't talked to him since the last time that we met. It's very true that we gave preliminary approval because of outstanding permits required. Most particularly is the riparian line, setting the riparian line. And the DEP defines a riparian line anywhere between 50 feet and 150 feet from the top of the bank, depending on the quality of what that area is. And the way I understand it, if it's been disturbed, it qualifies as being occupied. I don't think the building itself being there has anything to do with it. I think the footprint of the building, the pad of the building, the disturbed area where the building was, I think that could affect your permit. There was also a very heavy lift out there, and I haven't heard back from the DEP. I think the DEP is going to be looking at that, is the fact that we do have bald eagle habitat along that whole run. Mike Lanzafama noticed that, was actually written in a resolution, so that's part of the process for DEP looking at. I don't think the building itself being there is a factor, and that could be removed. I'd like to have a conversation with Mike Lanzafama on that, if he had anything different from the DEP. I haven't had a conversation with the DEP, but I know from processing similar type of applications to DEP to define the riparian line, it was always based on the disturbed area, and the disturbed area is the whole area where the United Dye facility was, including the property next door to you, which is part of this application for the two lots. I think you could consider removing the building and not affecting your application before DEP.
I'm just relating to Mike's advice when we discussed it, because the client had done the asbestos work, and was preparing to do it.
Well, if Stan is correct in what he's saying, and I guess there needs to be a mutual understanding on that particular point, then if the building is not a necessity, it's an eyesore and should come down.
Any other questions? I have a couple.
Did I say something?
I don't know. Please do.
You just raise your right hand.
My name is Elliot Leibowitz.
He wants to swear you in.
I'm sorry?
He wants to swear you in first.
Yeah. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
So, in regard to demolishing the building, the engineer, Mike, absolutely said you can't do it because you'll lose your grandfather rights. We were in the process of removing the asbestos and applying for the demolition permit. And he said, stop, don't do it, you're gonna never be able to build this building if you do that now.
Well, the engineer Stan,
I'm sorry?
the engineer Stan, not Mike, is saying that the disturbed.
Yeah, and that's an outstanding issue.
I'm
I
not
mean,
the expert. I'm
Disturbed
just-
area
there's a
would
difference of
have some
opinion.
qualifications.
I understand there's a difference of opinion, and
Yeah,
that's
and
fine.
I would gladly talk to the DEP too.
I think we should.
No, and look, this is just trying to be fact information. Clearly, there's a difference of opinion, and that's fine. If we didn't have differences of opinion, we have a very boring society. So, I did have a couple questions, unless someone else has them. You mentioned that you purchased the building in 2008?
Approximately, yes.
Approximately, okay. In 2008, was United Dyeing or whatever manufacturing activity that was occurring there, did you buy it as an operational entity or a
When I
closed?
bought it, it was operational. When
Okay.
I closed on the building, they ceased operations.
Okay. And approximately when you closed on the building, was that more or less 2008, 2009?
Approximately.
Okay, close enough, all right. As my understanding is that with a facility of that nature, there is a required closure plan by the DEP when you stop manufacturing. And I don't know if you would have done that or the previous owner would have done that, but I was just curious as to whether or not that was done, whether or not it was approved, and what is the status of that?
Yeah, they filed under the New Jersey environmental law, and got a no further action letter and complied with the requirements of the.
Okay. So as of sometime in 2009 or 2010, somewhere in that area, that there was a closure plan that was approved and
Right,
the DEP position that there was no further action because whatever they were looking at proved to be okay. And that's probably not technical words,
it's
but
not technical words, but your
but
conclusion is
essentially,
correct.
all right.
Conclusion is correct.
Yeah.
They complied with the requirements of the NJDEP.
And so they signed off, and so more or less as of 2010, you had a site, DEP was happy, everybody was sort of ready to go. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. People, and when did the fire occur?
A year ago.
Yeah, I
A
have.
year ago. Okay.
Just about here now.
Okay. Okay. And the fire occurred a year ago, and a year ago, that was before you had final approval, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And you agree that the building is uninhabitable?
Yes.
Is that correct? As you know, that's on Orlando Drive.
Yes.
And I think you probably know that 8,000 cars, more or less, a day go by Orlando Drive.
We have
More or less.
the report, traffic report.
Right. And you know, across from Orlando Drive, in the vicinity of the building, is residential. And you know, since 2009, those residents have essentially looked at that property, hoping that somebody would do something with it.
Yes.
That's correct. And you ultimately were able to do something with it.
Well, we applied for site plan approval. after
2012.
Discussions with your previous administration, and we mutually agreed.
It's not administration, it's just the town.
Town.
Okay, sorry.
That multifamily would be the best use of the land.
Mhm.
We hired an architect, he designed a rendering. It was, I thought, enthusiastically
Mhm.
approved or agreed to by the previous town.
No, the planning board, the Borough of Raritan, approved it,
Yes,
gave site plan approval,
yes.
and whether it was done under this administration, the last administration, or any other administration, is to me, and maybe I'm naive, but to me it's irrelevant. The fact of the matter is the Borough of Raritan made a decision by a duly appointed board, and they said, hey, we'd like to have this development.
Yes,
Is that fair to say?
yes.
Okay. And that happened after a whole series of negotiations between 2012 and 2000.
And not only negotiations, a lot of work. I mean, I spent over $200,000 in professional fees
Right.
with civil engineers, architects, traffic guys, etc., to get to the point where we were when it was preliminarily approved.
Okay. And then when you were doing that, in your judgment, was the site secured?
I don't understand the question.
During this process where you spent $200,000 on hired professionals, the facility itself,
Yes.
the physical facility.
After the
where-
fire?
No, before the fire.
There were-
During the period of time that you had the professionals.
When,
So from 2009 to approximately 2015, you spent $200,000 on professionals.
approximately, yes.
Okay. And during that time prior to the fire, were you of the opinion that the building was secure?
There had been several, I would call it break-ins, where I guess it was teenagers stole copper and other items from the building.
They were in the mining business.
I'm sorry?
They were in the mining business.
Yes, they were in the,
Okay. Okay.
but there was no violence per se.
Okay. Okay. And then we had the fire in 2015? Okay, then we had the fire in 2015.
Yes,
And whatever security was at the building, it turned into a total mess.
I wouldn't say that. Within, I would say 48 hours after the fire, we put up a 6-foot, I think it was a 6-foot.
No, I didn't mean, it was secured with a fence, but it turned into a total mess, the property, because of the fire.
Yes.
Okay. And have you made any claims relative to that fire in insurance companies?
We were not insured for fire, we were insured for liability.
Okay.
But we had no fire, because we had planned to demolish the building, and
Sure.
we never.
I don't ask the question, I'll never know the answer, so
Yes.
I understand where you're going. Okay, so then basically for the period of time between essentially 48 hours after the fire, the building's been secured,
Yes,
but in essence, the fire was what month?
May,
In May. So essentially for the last
12 months.
11, 12 months,
Yes,
we've had that building more or less look the way that it has looked.
yes,
Is that correct?
yes.
Okay. If you lived across the street from that building, would you be happy?
No,
Okay. If you lived across the street from that building, would you approach the town and ask them to do something with that because it's an eyesore, it's not indicative of the town, it's not indicative of the site, it's not indicative of any of these things?
if I was naive, I would do that, yes. But if I wasn't naive and I understood all of the issues, of what my options were, my options are, I think,
No, options as a resident or options as an owner? You said the naivete of the owner. I asked you if you lived across the street
yes,
and you were looking at a building for now 11, 12 months, wouldn't you come to the town, would you come to the town and ask for some sort of relief? And you said in your naivete,
I can tell you that before the fire, it was really an ugly eyesore.
Mhm.
I will acknowledge that the fire made it even uglier, but I'm not sure how dramatically. And I think what we're here today to decide is, do we want that site to always be ugly like it is? We could demolish the building, and it's always gonna be an ugly site.
Mhm.
Or to have a brand-new, beautiful apartment there, starting in approximately 4 to 6 months.
Okay.
That's really what the issue
Okay,
is.
so I'm a sort of simple guy.
Okay?
So since 2009, the
Yes.
building is ugly,
Yes.
okay?
I
And
thought it was
really,
ugly even before 2000.
well, I was not trying to put words into your mouth, I'm only telling you what you told me, okay? And then after the fire,
Yes,
it remained ugly, but not materially more ugly,
in my
in your opinion?
Yes,
Okay, all right, I understand that. And if you were a resident living across the street
yes,
from that for the last 11, 12 months,
yes.
what I was trying to ask you is what would you have done, if anything? In terms of,
I would have inquired because it was public knowledge that somebody had gone for approval to build an apartment house. There were many, I would say.
I understand, so there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Let me just finish, but there were many neighbors who were interested, what time the garbage was gonna be picked up, whether it was gonna be on-site maintenance, where the air conditioning was gonna be, what the noise factor, I mean, they were really, I would say, very
Interested.
interested
Right.
in what the result was gonna be.
Okay,
And I sat in this room and listened and answered many questions, and I think that everybody walked out happy with
Happy.
what was gonna be once we got final approvals. And that was even after the fire. The fire had occurred
before,
6 months before that.
Right.
Everybody
correct,
in that room knew that the building had burned, that it was
absolutely.
secured by a fence, that here were an owner or owners, because the other fellow who owned the other lot was here, and we had agreed to produce, and I don't know if the town still has the renderings or.
No, I think I think it's very clear that everyone saw, and I use the term, a light was at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
Because since 2009, when you owned it, it was ugly, and you even said it before 2009, it was ugly.
I think it was
Okay,
just as
and so, in essence, it was general relief, because finally we're gonna get rid of this.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I have two more questions.
Yes, sir.
If the project doesn't go through,
Yes.
what's gonna happen to the building?
I guess we'll demolish it. And give up our rights then.
Give up your rights?
Yeah, I think if we demolish the building, what I've been told by my civil engineer.
No, I didn't ask you that. I didn't ask you that. What I asked you is if you don't get any of these assorted number of approvals, and I'm not here to suggest you will or won't, but if you don't get it, what's gonna happen to the building?
Huh? You wanna answer?
I don't think he knows. I don't think he knows.
So, he doesn't know. Okay,
But he can't predict the future.
I mean, we've been told that none of these approvals are unattainable. That we have to do what the county wants us to do, that the county is not gonna be unreasonable, that the state, what is it, the Duke Estate across the street? The Duke Estate and everybody else wants this 8-foot river walk. We've
Mhm.
put it into our approval to give it, and not only to give it, but to maintain it forever. I mean,
I wasn't quarreling with that. I was really trying to think that, on the one hand, what we're asking, what I believe if I may interpret, what you're asking for this council to do is, hey, relax, we're gonna go through this, and just hold on, it's a little bit longer, but when we get our approvals, we're A-okay.
yes.
Okay? The other side,
I'm saying one other thing,
Oh,
if I
sorry.
can interrupt.
I'm sorry, yes, please do.
We're saying that the city, or the town, or whatever it is concerned about the safety issue. We're prepared to secure the fence to make everybody happy, that I understand that there's a way to get under the fence. We're prepared to make it so that nobody could ever do that. If they wanted barbed wire on top, I mean, we're prepared to eliminate any safety issue today.
Okay, but the issue I was trying to get to is, on the one hand, you would like us to, I'm sorry, you'd like the governing body to essentially say, hey guys, hold on tight, because we're moving ahead. You further say that there is really no reasonable expectation based upon what you've heard at multiple levels of government, that you will not get the approval. But in the event that you don't get the approval, you're not clear whether or not that building will be demolished.
No, I think it will be demolished. I think we'll end up never being able to build what has been approved,
Okay.
based upon what I've been told.
Okay. Do you have any idea how much it would cost to demolish that building?
Yes. I got an estimate from a local demolition company. In fact, it was a demolition company that was involved in demolishing the World Trade Center, so they're
Have experience.
obviously experienced, credible, and it was $90,000.
$90,000.
Yes, and it was 90,000, it might be a little less because
Let's say it's 100,000. We'll keep it simple.
between
Okay.
80 to 100.
Okay.
Yes,
So where we said is, and I don't know the duration of the approval process, but where we set is, for sake of $100,000, the residents of the town and anyone who happens to float by are basically going to have to sit and wait until you get your approval, when you just indicated that notwithstanding you're going to get your approval, you would spend, and I'll use the 100,000, it could be some other number, but you'll spend another 100,000, you'll spend $100,000 regardless, whether you get the approvals or not. Is that what I understood?
no, I'm
Okay.
saying that if we don't get the approvals and the building has to be demolished, then you can't build the apartment house. From my perspective, that land then is worth zero.
And would you remove the building?
I'd have to really look at what my options are.
Okay. So it isn't that you would remove the building in the event you did not get
I
the
may or
approvals.
may not.
Okay, you may or may not.
Talk to my civil engineer.
But as a business person, you can say, hey, you know, I gotta make a business judgment at that point in time.
Correct.
Now, equally, this being fair, we have to make a public policy judgment at this point in time. And I didn't mean to bring you through that whole litany, but I think your intentions needed to be understood, and I thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I may? Stan, the process regarding the application for the setback permit with the DEP, is that a process that, for whatever, is it an expensive process that you would need to wait before the estoppel period on the approvals will expire, or is it a process that could be done now?
It's not a setback approval, it's defining where the riparian limit is for the river, whether it's 50 feet,
Or
75.
150. All right. So that process,
That
is that,
determination is going through now. I don't know what the permit application fees are.
are they thousands of dollars, or, you know?
$11,000.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It's not inexpensive.
The reason I was asking was trying to figure out why, you know, because if it wasn't that onerous of a lift, then the council may want to, you know, look for some forward movement.
Are you trying to suggest that $11,000 is an onerous lift?
I'm not suggesting anything.
Okay, I was just trying to understand what you
No,
said.
I wanted to
I'm
find
sorry.
out if there was.
I'm not trying to, I'm trying to interpret what you said.
I was trying to understand from Mr. Herb why they were waiting for the estoppel period on the planning board approvals and waiting for the county approvals before beginning the permit application or the riparian setback application process.
Can I answer that?
Sure.
Because why spend 11,000 if you're not gonna get some other approval? I wanna make sure that I can put a shovel in the ground, demolish the building and build it.
Thank you. Anyone else has further questions?
So we're gonna have a meeting, I guess, in about 9 months, you said 6 to 9 months, to see where we're at with all of this, and,
Well, Mr. Herb said 6 to 9, and Mr. Lewis said 4 to 6.
okay, well, 9 would be the first one out, so we're gonna have another meeting to see where we're at. We don't wanna leave the building looking like it is sitting down
As we said, we're ready to deal with the safety issue.
there. I heard that, yes, but that's not.
I don't think
removing
the
building.
safety issue isn't the first concern. The first concern is the aesthetics. We took 2.5 years to knock down that building. This week, finally on 202. That building, plus this one that people drive by every day, is a window to our town. When they look at that, the opinions they make about our town is based upon what those two buildings look like. That's how I feel about it.
That's the way I feel about it too.
Well, the thing is, I mean, you've already said it's a very, 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 very good chance you're gonna get approved on this. You're gonna have to tear the building down anyway. What's the difference if you do it now or 9 months from now? And if you can't, and if you don't get, and play devil's advocate, if you don't get approval, and you say it's not worth anything, well, obviously, you're try to sell it, if you're not gonna be able to build on it.
I can't sell it if you can't build on it.
True. That's fair. Okay.
Right, so the council has a lot of options, as Mr. St. George mentioned at the beginning. You know, you have discretion in fashioning an order. You can order temporary steps to be taken now, reschedule another continued hearing on this matter at a date certain sometime in the future to see whether those matters have been complied with, and then get an update as to what the status of the application process is. You can request, you know, updates from Mr. St. George or from the property owners regarding how the permitting application is going. There's a host of things that you
Okay.
have the authority to direct, so.
Procedure, isn't it? Do we close the hearing, or do we act, or how do we, we're in a hearing.
Right, so you can reserve now if you want, or you can issue an order tonight, and it'll be resolution 2016.
Oh, is there any further testimony, would be my first
I
question
don't think any
from,
from the borough, I don't know.
is anyone from the public permitted to?
You have
participate?
the public comment. Is anyone want to issue?
Thank you.
Yeah.
So if someone has an observation, they may say something, if not, having, Bill.
But,
Yes,
no, it's
please.
gonna swear you in now,
You
saying,
have to swear me in?
yeah.
I'm only making a public comment.
Well, it's gonna be, this is the hearing right now that we're having, so if you're gonna give testimony, it's gonna be.
You're gonna tell the truth regardless, so why
All right.
not swear yourself in?
Do you solemnly swear for the testimony you have to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right.
Thank you.
Adele Getch, 6 Nevia Street. You talk about 8,000 people go by that and look at it. Maybe they go by twice a day. I live a block and a half from it. I see it 10 times a day. It was an eyesore before as an abandoned building. It's a worse eyesore now. I don't understand, not even the garbage has been carted away. The pile of bricks, the debris that's laying around. If the argument is you can't take the building down, you did not even take the garbage away. The loose debris, and there's a ton of it. And I see it as going by. If I lived across the street from it, I don't care what the reasoning is, I do not want to look at that. And I'm sure it's unsafe. Besides, so you can put your fence up, but you're not hiding what it looks like to people who live by there every single day.
Thank you. You good? Okay. So, what was the council? That's what I'm not clear on.
Yeah, you can have a discussion as to what you want to do.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is there a way to get clarity on the difference of opinion between our
Sure there is.
engineer and before making a decision on this?
Counselor, do you think that that's a matter of opinion or a matter of fact? Or a difference of opinion or a difference of fact?
I think it's a difference of opinion. I think that, it's one that there's an answer to. I don't
So
think
it's
it-
a difference of fact?
Yes, I mean, as to who, I think there's a right answer to that issue.
And I personally, I'd like the answer before I made a decision on this.
I agree.
Okay, so we continue the hearing until our next meeting?
Sure. Which will be May 10th.
You say so, Counselor.
Yes.
All right, thank you,
Can
Wayne.
I say one more thing?
He's the boss.
I'm sorry?
He's the
Yeah,
boss.
they concluded.
You think we're okay? Okay.
I am,
Yeah, Ryan and I have a good relationship.
I just wasn't here, I was from Nathan, that's all.
Yeah, there is, yeah, I'll talk to that. I do want to talk to.
Well, you know, that's an issue. I mean, one of the issues is, as you know, is that there was a request to delay this hearing until the 14th of June.
Right, and then they requested the 24th of May.
Right.
Correct.
And the reality is that, I guess before, I'd like to hear from you fellows that you'll be here for the next meeting, as opposed to ask for another adjournment and so forth.
What is next
Said
meeting?
he won't be.
May 10th.
If you need me to swear in, or I could just answer honestly, I know I cannot be here because I'm not in the country, I'm not in this country, I'm in Ireland, May 10th. So I know I could personally help you there.
And do you have any associates at your organization that could be?
I am the associate, so.
Oh, all right, okay.
I think I could talk.
I'm sorry.
You want to answer?
You're with the big law firm, and you're with the,
No, we are in the same,
I work for.
we're in the same firm. But Mr. St. George has spent a lot of time.
no, I was just trying to understand what firm it was, because I saw a name like
No, we're in the same
Savior.
firm,
Sabre LLC.
Don't you guys have 60 lawyers?
Okay, yes.
approximately.
I just answered your question.
Fine, I was, no, and I asked you the obvious question, is that, you know, you're not gonna be here, and I wanted to make sure I wasn't confused. So I did look to see how many lawyers you had,
Understood.
okay? And I just think that that's important for you guys to know. Okay?
So May 10 or May 24? May 10? Continued hearing? I didn't know if there was,
I look for the wisdom of the council, always.
I will be.
On what?
May 10th. Yeah, Steve.
Well, whether you're here or not, I mean, what's the essence, the wisdom of the council?
I think May 10th.
Yeah.
That works.
all right, we'll continue the hearing.
Sorry, council, May 10th.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep, the hearing's
Thank you
concluded.
so
All right, have a good evening. Thank you for spending the time with us. It was helpful to understand.